But Brandon, let's end the podcast like we always do, making our picks in the NFL. This one for week number 6. And if I'm looking at the records, here's the thing. So I don't have our records written down for last week because Mark couldn't do it this week. You and I are doing it on Monday. But I will tell you guys this. For the individual weeks, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll either go, let's see if my math is right, 7 and 5. I'll either have 7 out of the 15 correct or 8 out of the 15 correct, whether or not the Saints win. Mark, on the other hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He will have 9 or 10 correct at the end of the week. We'll have those official numbers next week. But what I do know is, Brandon, you do have some picked games with us.
I think I went like 7 and 9.
You went 7 and 9. That was 2 weeks ago. That was week numero tres that you went 7 and 9. That was a good week for me. I went 10 and 6. Mark went 7 and 9. You went 7 and 9. So you were a 7 and 9 career pick'em in the NFL for us. We'll see if you can gain. Well, you will gain some games this week because you'll get a couple more. The first one, though, a Thursday night matchup. The Eagles go into New York to play the Giants. Eagles are a 3-point favorite. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, with all the crap that I've talked about the Giants, if I picked them now, I would look like a liar. So I think that, truly, I think the Eagles, as I mentioned in the last segment, it sounds like they've lost Jay Ajayi for the year to a torn ACL. So they're now without him. They're going to be kind of running with a very limited ground game. With Sproles out and now Ajayi, they're down to like Wendell Smallwood. Mm-hmm. They've got a good passing game, so they're going to have to lean on that. Carson Wentz, they're going to have to make sure and get him back to form. This is a team that really needs to get it going, but thank God you have the Giants to play against, because I think they will. The Giants, they have so much talent around the football, but with a poor offensive line and a quarterback in Eli Manning, who certainly is no longer in his prime, I think it's going to be tough. Even with the Giants at home, I think the Eagles get the win.
Yeah, the one thing the Eagles, how they are so good is, it's like Victor Cruz said today on First Take. They have to run the ball well. That sets up the play action where they can take teams deep. With Jay Ajayi now on the IR, now out for the year with an ACL, that's going to be a lot harder. I'm actually going to pick the Giants in this one. They're going to rebound. Although they lost, they can take some good things out of their game against Carolina. Yes, it's a shortened week, but they're coming home to play the Eagles. I think that the Giants do just enough. It'll probably be a 3-point win for the Giants in the Meadowlands on Thursday. Then
who's Mark taking?
Mark, he hasn't put in his picks because I don't think I think he thinks we're recording tomorrow on Tuesday, so we won't know Mark's picks until I'll probably post them on Twitter or have him post them on Twitter. The next one, though, you got your Chicago Bears, or one of your teams, because you're a KC Chiefs fan as well. The Bears going into Miami to play the Dolphins. What are you thinking?
I think the Dolphins are terrible, and I think that the Chicago Bears defense will swarm Tannehill. They will swarm a pathetic running game that is led, you got to use quotations there, by Kenyon Drake. This is going to be, I think, a good win for the Chicago Bears, and the Bears should be able to win. I think the defense is going to keep them in this game for a good part of it, but Mitch Trubisky will make a couple of plays. The Bears will win convincingly over the Dolphins in Miami.
Now, I probably shouldn't do this because the only teams that the Dolphins have beaten are the Titans, Jets, and Raiders, and they've lost to the Patriots and Bengals in their last two, but I am going to ride the Dolphins in this one. This one being in Miami, I think will be a different kind of a game, especially weather-wise, for the Bears. This defense will get tired a little bit sooner than they usually are because the temperature a little bit hotter in Miami than in Chicago. I am going to go with the Dolphins, probably a touchdown game, 3-point game, 4-point game, close game.
Did you see what happened to the Dolphins this past weekend?
I did.
Did you see they were up 17 to nothing?
I did, and I'm going to ride with the Dolphins in this one. over the Bears, although I will probably regret that.
Riding ignorance in this game, I see.
Sunday. Then we've got an interesting game, only interesting because one of these teams, both you and I said, are done for 2018. Don't even think about them being a contender for the rest of this year. And then we got Jameis Winston making his first start. Who you got, Falcons or Bucks?
I'm going Falcons. I'm going Falcons in this one because we talked.
A couple of hypocrites, you and I. Oh, they're done. Yeah, they'll win this one.
No, but I don't think that we're hypocrites because we talked about there's a soft part in their schedule. It's the Bucks and it's the Giants, and then it goes to shambles.
I just also don't think Jameis Winston's going to be that good. He's not that good.
Jameis will be able to, I think, take advantage of a couple of big plays in the secondary for the Falcons that is injured, that is hurt, but I think the Falcons ultimately, they come out, they get the win against the Bucks.
You know what I think would be funny, and I kind of want to see it? I really want to see him get benched for Ryan Fitz. Like, they're doing so bad that he gets benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick in the fourth quarter. It's like, they're not going to win. No, we're not. But, like, that would be hilarious. Also, that reminded me, funny thing from the weekend I saw. So, Conor McGregor lost to Khabib this weekend. And someone posted a picture of Conor McGregor, like, up against the cage. And it's like, man, what a bad week for Ryan Fitzpatrick. First loses his starting job, now loses to Khabib. He just can't win nowadays. How about the next one? The Steelers and the Bengals. Could this be the game the Steelers get back into that divisional hunt? Or will the Bengals and Bengal fans stand strong and kind of keep the Steelers out of number one in the North?
I poked a little fun at the Bengals earlier while we were doing this podcast, but I'm going to go with the home team Bengals. I'm going to say that they get the win. The Steelers are still without without Le'Veon Bell. The Big Ben and Antonio Brown still trying to get on the same page. I think this past week was a good week for them to do that. But going forward, and remember, the Steelers played against an Atlanta defense that is not that good. The Bengals defense has proven that they are good. They've actually come up with some big touchdowns defensively so far this season. One in the game against the Colts in week 1 that won them the game, Clayton Fedulum, a former St. Xavier alum. And then we also look at this past week, they had a touchdown defensively as well. So this is a game the Bengals will win. They're at home. The Steelers come in. They're not playing that well. The Steelers are riding a little bit of momentum, but I think that Cincinnati wins it.
I am going to, this is one like the Bears-Dolphins game. I'm going to pick it, but I'm going to regret it on Sunday. I'm going to take Steelers over the Bengals. I think that the Steelers will take their game from last week, carry a little momentum into this one. They will expose the Bengals and beat the Bengals, and then we'll be sitting there going, oh, are the Steelers back now that they're gaining Le'Veon after their bye week? The next one in Cleveland, Chargers and Browns. Who you got for this one, B?
I don't even see this one on. Oh, there it is. I was gonna say, Ricky, are you even sure that they were playing? I didn't see it, but I'm gonna go with the Browns. I'm gonna go with the Browns.
I thought I was gonna be the only one going with the Browns.
I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns defense have been able to force the most turnovers in the NFL this year. Phillip Rivers has proven that he will throw interceptions. He will turn the football over. I think the Cleveland Browns will get a couple of those, and I think they will get points because of that. Again, this Chargers defense, too, hasn't been all that impressive this year. While I thought it would be, I think they are definitely missing Bosa there in the middle. The Browns will get the win, and they will ride a winning streak.
Yeah, I am also going to go with the Browns as well. It's in Cleveland. They got their first win in Cleveland this past weekend. They are going to, and I believe their first win in the North as well in a long time. They're going to continue that. Maybe the 3-5 win Browns that we were thinking about, like when Dave in the preseason was like, hey man, this Browns team can win 5 games. Maybe they get closer to that this weekend. The next game, this one I think with my end, it's a London game, but to me it's an easy game. The Seahawks and the Raiders in London. Yes, it's in London. You got to play in the travel, but these are 2 West Coast teams, so it's not like one's coming from the East, one's coming from the West. I really am not high on the Raiders this year. I don't like what Gruden is doing so far. I'm not high on the Seahawks either, but I'm higher on the Seahawks than I am the Raiders. So that's why I'm going with Seattle in London.
It's really unfortunate you have to pick a winner in this game. I could pick two losers easily, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks as well. They put on a really good performance against a good Rams defense, and the Oakland Raiders looked so miserable to watch against the Chargers. It's been really hard to watch the Oakland Raiders. If you're a Raider fan, of course, I'm not a Raider fan. I'm not watching every game intently, but you are. It has got to be tough to watch this team, know that you've got talent, and it just not be going anywhere. But you did have a lot more talent when you had Khalil Mack. He's on the Bears now. But the Seattle Seahawks, I think, will get this win. I'm going to also say it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Both teams struggle defensively. They can both put up points. They've shown it. I think the Seahawks get the win in a blowout, and not in a game where a lot of points are scored, but there's no blowout.
What about the next one? Josh Rosen got his first win last week as an NFL starting quarterback. 4-1 Cardinals go into U.S. Bank Stadium to play the 2-2-1 Vikings.
1-4 Cardinals?
Yeah.
I thought you said 4-1.
No, 1-4.
4-1 Cardinals. I'm like, no,
I might
not.
have.
No,
I meant 1-4.
They're going to be 1-5 after this week. The Vikings. The Vikings had this last time. The Vikings had welcomed in
a rookie quarterback.
Well, they welcomed in Josh Allen, and who the hell does he play for? The Bills. See, some of these teams are so bad you forget they're in the NFL. But I'm going to go with the Vikings. Remember that they're not going to let that happen again. The Vikings will get the win.
Yeah, I don't think, actually, I got to double check. Have I picked against the Vikings so far? Picked them last week. I picked them to beat the Rams. I picked them to win there. Picked them to win there. Yeah, so this is a shocker. Ricky has picked the Vikings. But I'm picking the Vikings to win this week against the Cardinals. They are not going to let Josh Rosen do what Josh Allen did to them. They're not going to make that mistake again. They looked better against a struggling Eagles team. They won the game that they were supposed to. Now let's see if we can get a couple of wins going. Hopefully the Dolphins win so we can gain a game on the Bears in the standings. Then this is the most interesting game of the week. And the reason why I say that is one of our onside kick MVP listeners in Shane O'Mac. He is a huge Colts fan. I believe he's from Canada, but he's a huge Colts fan. And he tweeted out, there's kind of like, okay, the Colts are 1-4 right now, but their next upcoming games are against the Jets, the Bills, and the Raiders. And he said they could be 4-4 or even 3-5 after this next 3 games. It starts now against the Jets. This is, to me, the toughest of the 3. I'm going to go with the Colts to maybe get something started and maybe start a win streak in these next 3 games to try to get to 3-5, 4-4 at the end of the next 3.
I'm going to go with the Jets. They played a really impressive game this past weekend against the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos aren't that great.
Isaiah Crowell gonna go off again.
But at the same time, look at what the Denver Broncos did against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they kept that game very, very close to then get blown out on the road at the Jets. The Jets are at home. The Patriots ran pretty well against the Colts. I think the Jets, after looking this past week, Isaiah Crowell will not have 219 yards. And Bilal Powell probably won't have over 100 yards like he did this past week either. But the New York Jets will probably be able to find some room running the football against the Colts. And this Jets defense, no, they're probably not going to have as many turnovers as they did in week 1 against the Lions. But this Jets defense is pretty good, pretty solid. I think while Andrew Luck is the guy who throws the football the most here in the NFL right now, he's going to have to cut that down because that's not doing them a whole lot of good. And I think he's going to find a couple of interceptions if he keeps doing that.
The next one, we've got Panthers and Redskins. Like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, we're recording this on Monday, so the Redskin game hasn't happened yet. But here's my thoughts with Panthers and Redskins. The Panthers are 3-1, yes, but all 3 of their wins come at home. Their 1 loss comes on the road. They are in Washington. Therefore, the Redskins will get the win over the Panthers.
So you've got the Panthers in this one. I think that Cam Newton will be able to find a way to get this team the win. And the Redskins, this is going to be one of their possibly defining losses on their season. The Panthers get a big win here.
Here's an interesting one on just me with the pick'em. We got Bills and Texans. Texans got a win this past Sunday night. They won it in overtime. I can't say that the Cowboys gifted them a win, but maybe the Cowboys should have been able to beat the Texans if they weren't just such a bad offensive team this year, or inconsistent offensive team, I will say. As of Monday, the Texans are a 1-point favorite. So with that being the line, I'm going to ride with the Bills. I'm going with the Bills to get the win in Houston next week.
I'm going to go with the Texans. They didn't have much of a running game this past week. There wasn't much room for Alfred Blue to go, not having
and Lamar Miller.
He was active, but they didn't play him at all. The Bills didn't give up a whole lot of rushing yards to the Titans this past week. Derrick Henry's been pretty awful on the ground, and Dion Lewis hasn't been much better either. I do think the Texans will have a lot of success being able to throw the football, because let's say it's DeAndre Hopkins isn't able to get a ton of catches. Let's just say that he's not.
Will Fuller didn't get a ton last week.
But Will Fuller, Kiki QT, Ryan Griffin, there's other guys in this offense that Deshaun Watson's able to find.
For our fantasy team, the only one he should be throwing to is Will Fuller. That's the only one he should be throwing to.
I think there's too many weapons here for the Texans and their defense. This defense is going to have a field day going after Josh Allen, this young quarterback.
How many defenders will he hurdle, though?
They just have too good of a pass rush with Jadeveon Clowney, J.J. Watt. They're going to go after Josh Allen, and they're going to have a field day.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills and probably regret that decision on Sunday when the Texans are winning. The next one, they're a 7-point favorite. The Rams going into Mile High to play the Broncos. I am going to go with the Rams to get the win, continue going to 6-0 against Case Keenum and the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams. This should be a pretty easy game for them.
Then we're going Jacksonville and the Cowboys. And Brandon, this is as easy as the last one. Cowboys haven't looked that good. Jaguars have. I would love to pick the Cowboys because I would love the kiss of death to kind of keep its course. The kiss of death kind of helping out last week with the Chiefs beating the Jaguars, but I got to go with the Jags to beat the Cowboys this week.
I'm going to go with the Jaguars, too. There's just not enough for the Cowboys to do. If the Jaguars are able to stop Ezekiel Elliott, which I think you kind of saw in the game against Houston, the Houston Texans were able to stop Zeke. He had 20 carries for 54 yards. There wasn't anyone else who was stepping up to make a play. Jacksonville's going to be able to get that win.
And then we've got the last daytime game before we get into the two prime times. The 3-2 Ravens go into Tennessee to play the 3-2 Titans. Baltimore's only a 3-point favorite. What are you thinking about this one from Nissan Stadium?
Titans got a devastating loss last week, and I think that they're going to be really hurting this week too because of it. The Ravens go in, and I think the Ravens will get the win. It may be a last-second Justin Tucker field goal, but the Ravens get the win, and the Titans are going to be looking at that going, man, we shouldn't have had back-to-back losses. We should have beat the Bills, and that will really hurt when it comes to playoff time.
No, I completely agree. This is what I was talking about. I did not expect the Titans to lose to the Bengals, but I did say that they were more pretenders than contenders, so this is where the fall for the Titans begins, and they will lose again to go to 3-3, while the Ravens are pissed off that they lost to the Browns last week. Then the two primetime games, Sunday Night Football. We've got the 5-0 Chiefs going in to play the 3-2 New England Tom Brady's. Who gets the win in Foxborough?
I think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course. Well, it makes sense. I
just like poking fun at you because the Chiefs are your second favorite team.
Well, sure. I mean, and I poke fun at you for the Vikings, but you literally could be playing the number one team and you'd go, I think the Vikings.
Hey, two things are always certain on the onside kick. Mark will always pick the Bears. I will always pick the Vikings. There's no difference.
And see, I would not always pick the Bears. I wouldn't do it.
Mark always picks the Bears. He has always picked the Bears all year, I think.
So I'm going to go Chiefs. I think that there's more firepower in their offense. I think that they've got just a quarterback that can make more plays Tom Brady is good, but I think that there's been some struggles there with him this year. If the Chiefs' defense shows up like they did last week, the Chiefs should be able to get this one in the bag. If not, that opens the door for New England.
And I did look. Mark has picked only the Bears this year in their games. And then the last one, Monday Night Football, the walking wounded, I'm going to call them, not Dave Oster, but the San Francisco 49ers. They go into Lambeau Field to play the 2-2-1 Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay is going to be so mad. I think that they're just going to line up every time and say, okay, Mason, can you make this one? Can you make this one?
5 field goals.
Can you make this one? I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to get a bounce back win at home against the Niners.
Mine isn't even bounce back. It's just they're going to get a win. They're going to be mad that they lost. Like they're going to be.
But it's a bounce back. I mean, they need a bounce back win from that.
I misspoke. It's not going to be a bounce back. It's going to be you're playing the 49ers, who are decimated with injuries.
So they're getting an angry win.
You should win this game.
They're getting an angry win.
Even if your wide receiver core is injured in itself. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know your picks down below in the comment section. And what do you think about any of our picks? Where are we right? Where are we wrong? Where are we idiots? Where are we geniuses? I want to see how many geniuses.
No one's going to tell us we're a genius.
I know, right?
No one's going to say that.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. Also, make sure to check out patreon.com/MostValuedPodcast to help support us. You can also support us by getting yourself an MVP t-shirt down below in the description. You can also get that at MostValuablePodcast.com, where you can catch MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, if you're on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, if you have it, even if you're on YouTube, I know you guys do, please give us a 5-star rating and let us know why you like listening to the podcast each and every week. I want to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. I want to thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. Mark will be here next week, hopefully, but Brandon, I didn't thank you officially. Thank you for filling in for Mark this week. It's always great having you on the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, and as always, have a good day, everybody.